All right. So first of all, thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here exploring the PhD program here in biomedical informatics at the University of Utah. I am Kendall Clement. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Biomedical Informatics, and I am the chair of the admissions committee. And I'm happy to talk to you about our program this evening. Our agenda for tonight is I'll give a little brief introduction about the department and why it's a great place to do a PhD. Next, we'll have Amy Parkin, our PhD program manager, give some information on the application process, really the nuts and bolts of how the application is submitted and reviewed. Next, we'll have our Vice Chair for Education, Karen Eelbeck, talk about the PhD student experience. And then this will be followed by two research presentations that will kind of highlight the research in our department by Melissa and Gianfranco. After this, we'll have some time for questions. And so if you do have questions during the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get to them, or else you can hold on to these and ask them live in the second half of our info session tonight. So, I guess with no further ado, then we'll move on then. So first of all, a little bit about the department. This department, the Department of Biomedical Informatics, really has a rich legacy. So it started out in 1964 with Homer Warner, who started the Department of Biophysics and Bioengineering in the College of Engineering. And this was really the first established program for informatics. In 1965, we granted the first informatics PhD in the United States. And we're proud to have that first graduate. In addition, we were the first Department of Biomedical Informatics to be integrated into the School of Medicine. And this is really important because it positions us really to shape how informatics and how data science are really incorporated into clinical care and into the patient experience. And so we're really proud of this. Since then, we've been able to continue this legacy. And our research really spans several areas within biomedical informatics. And this includes the areas of clinical informatics and digital health, as well as translational bioinformatics, health data science, and clinical research informatics. And so the faculty in this department and the PhD students who are carrying out research in these areas focus on generally one of these four areas. And so I just want to highlight some of the strengths of our department. So the first is certainly our research. We have world experts that have been involved, I guess, since the beginning in developing new electronic health record systems, including the HELP system, which laid the groundwork for clinical decision support tools, and other systems, for example, CPRS or VISTA. And these really form the backbone of informatics across many different organizations. In addition to the research that's done in this department, we are also a department that doesn't just innovate academically, but we really translate that innovation into impact. And so research from our department has given rise to a bunch of high-tech spin-outs, including Myriad Genetics, and this is the company that discovered the BRCA1 and BRCA2 breast cancer genes. We're also involved in the Utah Population Database, which is one of the most unique data resources in the world. It combines a bunch of EHR data, medical data, as well as genomic data and family pedigrees. And it can power discoveries across genetics and epidemiology and precision medicine. In addition to the translational aspects of our department, we're also really interested in collaboration. The Department of Biomedical Informatics is part of the greater Utah healthcare ecosystem, and we collaborate with UHealth at the University of Utah, as well as the Huntsman Research Center, Intermountain Health, and the Utah Department of Health, as well as the Veterans Association. And we are really collaborative across all these organizations and have ongoing projects with them, and as well as across the undergraduate campus here at the University of Utah. It's important also to note that Utah is the department here has a really broad variety of expertise. So here there are 26 core faculty and over 50 adjunct faculty, and these are leaders in informatics, data science, and genomics, and we all work together to try to shape the field of biomedical informatics. In addition, Utah is a great place to spend time as a PhD student. So if you're not from here, Salt Lake City it's a growing cultural hub. It's home to Utah Symphony Ballet West, some of performing venues, as well as sports teams. We host Utah Jazz and our new NHL hockey team with Utah Mammoth, as well as a vibrant nightlife and food scene as well. Importantly, there's also 11 ski resorts along the Wasatch Mountains, including Alta and Snowbird and Solitude. And these resorts are actually less than 25 miles from campus. In addition, for the summer months, there's also 20 national parks within a few hours, including the Big Five, Zion's, Arches, and Capitol Reef. And then a bit farther out, Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, and Grand Canyon really make it a great place a gateway to explore the outdoors. Importantly, as a student, you can take advantage of the campus recreation services, and you can rent gear for skiing, for snowboarding, mountain biking, climbing, rafting, and a bunch of other activities. You can also get discounted ski passes and discounted passes or tickets to performing arts events. So Salt Lake is just a great place to be. It's clean, it's safe, and in addition, in 2034, we're actually hosting the Winter Olympics again, and so it's a great place to be here. Although hopefully none of your PhDs will last till 2034. So I hope this has given you a good sense for the environment of the department and the strengths of the Department of Biomedical Informatics. And so really, if you're excited about connecting data, computation, and medicine to solve meaningful problems and to connect these to provide improved healthcare in the future, this is a great place to start. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Amy, who will walk us through the admissions process. Let me see if I can give her control here.
Thank you. So as Dr. Clement mentioned, my name is Amy Parkin. I work on the administrative side in the department with the PhD and postdocs. And so we're going to start with the admissions process. Let's see if I can. Yep. I'm going to go over application submission, review criteria, and the admissions timeline to hopefully make it a little more clear. So let's start with your application submission. So it's an online application. It is free to domestic students. Unfortunately, unfortunately for international students, I don't have the ability to give an application fee waiver. You would need to contact the university admissions office to request something like that. Our initial deadline is December 1st. Our final deadline is December 31st, but I would recommend you get your application in sooner rather than later. Application materials that we need is a CV and resume, a personal statement. This should be about 1 to 2 pages. Some brief suggestions of what to include are going to be a description of your present academic and scientific interests, future career goals, a summary of your experience, and the reasons you're applying to our program. It's encouraged to mention faculty from our department that you may be interested in working with, whose research interests you, and who you feel would be the best successful mentor for you. We are still finalizing that list of faculty taking students, but that will be up on our website as soon as possible. The next item is 3 letters of recommendation. On your application, you will include the emails of those you have chosen to provide those letters of recommendation, and they'll receive an email from the system letting them know that this is the application you're requesting it for. So you won't need to do anything beyond that. They'll send it directly to us. They should speak to your academic performance, research experience, work ethic, just your overall potential as a PhD student. And it is best if they could be direct supervisors as well. And then the final item is going to be transcripts, and you can submit unofficial transcripts upon initially applying. But if your application progresses, the University of Utah admissions office will request official transcripts from you. And we will need transcripts from every school, even if you only attended for 1 semester or took 1 class. For review criteria, we have an admissions committee internally, and every application we receive is reviewed fully. And the committee is going to be looking for the following: your academic background. This is where we will determine if you have the prereqs we like to see: statistics, programming, basic biology. Next, they're going to look at your research experience and they'll look for any evidence of publications or presentations. Technical skills like proficiency in informatics approaches and application to biomedical topics. And then again, your statement of purpose and letters of recommendation will come into play here. And then through all of this, the committee will look at your interests and see if those interests align with any of the faculty members looking to accept students. Okay, and then next we're going to talk about our timeline to make that a little clearer. So after the committee fully reviews all the applications, we will be setting up Zoom interviews between applicants and possible faculty mentors. Since we want to ensure that you are set up for success and matched with the best possible mentor at the very beginning, this does take some time, but most of those interviews will be scheduled in January. And we will start sending out offers as early as February. The latest we can extend an offer to you and the latest you can accept is April 15th. And that's due to the graduate policy in the US. And then after we've extended an offer to you, if you are located in the US, we will invite you for an in-person visit to our campus, and that is fully paid for by the department. And then fall semester will begin on August 24th, but you will arrive at least 2 weeks prior to that. All right. I think that is all I have for you right now. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ilbeck, who will go over some logistics of the program.
Sorry, just a second here.
Okay. Sorry, my sign language is really rubbish. Okay, brilliant to be here, and thank you all for showing up to this info session. So I have the boring slides to go over, so I apologize for that. Kendall got the good ones. So let's see. So in 2026, the powers that be have decided that the stipend is going to be 41,000. This is actually pretty good, honestly, for a graduate level stipend. So tuition is 100% covered, which is also really good. We provide health insurance through the university hospital, and we also support you sending you to research conferences. And like Amy just said, the fall semester starts August 19th, and we will have like an orientation prior to that happening. Can we do the next one? Okay, so this is sort of an outline of the time it takes to do your PhD. So hopefully before you join the program, you'll have some understanding of biology, you'll have taken a programming class and be able to do some basic statistics at least. So then you join the program. Hopefully that's going to show up. Okay, so once you join the program, there's some things that need to happen. So we provide you with city training, which is where we teach you about like ethics and guidelines for dealing with human subjects. We also start you on the process of finding your thesis committee. So that's like one of the first things that you do as an independent scientist is figure out who it is that you need to help guide you through the process. So that starts in the first semester, and hopefully by May you will have established a committee. At the end of the first 2 semesters, we have a written comprehensive exam, and that sort of makes sure that you understand the fundamentals of bioinformatics, clinical informatics, public health, the standards that we use to communicate between ourselves and computers, that kind of thing. And then once you've done the written comprehensive, everybody has to stand up and also take an oral exam in front of the whole department. And once you've got through that, It's we hand you off to your committee and they decide, what classes you need to take really from that point. So in the first year, there's a bunch of required courses. Like I said, like healthcare informatics, bioinformatics. We get everybody up and running in Python. We don't actually have public health and population informatics as a separate thing anymore. That's been integrated into healthcare informatics. And then in the spring, you'll be taking standards in biomedical informatics. You'll take research design, where you learn about the theory of like setting up experiments. And then we also have probability and statistics, where we get you all up and running in the R programming language. So then in year two, there is a required class for grant writing so that you can start putting together your F grant for the NIH. There might be a requirement to do ethics as well if you didn't choose to do that in the first year. And then the rest of the courses are things that you talk about with your committee and your PI and decide what you need. So there's like a lot of flexibility in what you do in year two onwards. In year three, hopefully, you will have written a proposal for what you think your thesis is going to be about and do the qualifying exam. And that pushes you from being a PhD student to a PhD candidate. And by this point, we are hoping that you've attended some conferences, that you have presented posters, maybe even given a talk at a conference. And at this point, we're hoping that you meet with your committee every semester. So year four, you just continue on with your research and you keep meeting with your committee. And then some people graduate in year four, the speedy ones, but most people take it till year five. You do an oral defense of your dissertation, and then you go through the whole process with the graduate school to get that dissertation ready for publishing and release. And you also graduate and walk, which is really exciting. It's my favorite thing. Okay, so like I said, the courses after the sort of halfway through the second year, there's a lot of flexibility. But we do have some focus areas that have some different kinds of classes. So if you are interested in focusing more on the area of healthcare or clinical informatics, we have sort of very medicine specific classes like clinical decision support or information systems architecture, human system interactions to make sure that you are building software that doctors and nurses actually want to use, that kind of thing. If you're into public health, there's some overlapping courses, but you might be more interested as well in the more data side of things. So like taking data wrangling, epidemiology, the mechanics of secondary data analysis, that kind of thing. We also have classes in translational informatics or bioinformatics. So once you've done the foundation, you can then go on and do like applied computational genomics or a more detailed dive into RNA sequencing and computational analysis. So you can, take it from there. And then we also have an area called clinical research informatics. And this is more about, collecting the data that's generated from healthcare and really researching what's going on. So you can learn more about database systems, data mining, data wrangling again, the architectures that hold all of that together. And that's like a big focus of the department. And I think am I done, Amy? Oh, one more slide. Okay. So I just wanted for this one to give you an idea of like the spread of different research projects that have defended in the last year and a half. So Christian Balbin is he's a postdoc in the department now, but he did his thesis on patient-centered clinical decision support, and he was building apps to help people quit smoking. So apps that were integrated into the health system. Bennett actually was also very clinical. So he was building an algorithm that was deployed at primary children's that would help doctors decide which of the sick babies likely had a genetic disease and should be sequenced. So that was a really exciting project, and it actually has been absorbed by hospitals across the country. So that was a really successful PhD project. John Chamberlain was interested in the fine detail of single cell seq. And so that's a very sort of bioinformatics project. And he's actually gone on, he's living in Barcelona now, working at the Bioinformatics Institute there. So that was really a successful area for him. Amber Kaiser was my student, and that's a really boring title, but what her PhD was about was we got hold of some data from women with endometriosis, and she developed some AI and machine learning models to help detect that faster. Women often have a 10-year sort of medical odyssey before they're actually diagnosed. So this was a really useful thing to do a PhD in. And she's gone on to industry as a senior data scientist. And then Ryzen is now a postdoc at Stanford. And he was developing some population-based informatics to help people get the screening they need for colorectal cancer. So that we have a really wide range from like the molecule to the population of the kinds of projects that you can become involved in.
Great. Thanks, Karen. Now we have two kind of more in-depth research focus talks by two of our current faculty members. And so now, Melissa, I'll turn the time over to you.
Hello, give me 1 second to share my screen. Sorry, just trying to find there we go. Okay. Everyone can see that? Give me a thumbs up.
That's
Yeah,
good.
okay. So in a lot of biomedical research, the approach to connecting phenotype to genotype is to look first at disease. And also, a lot of the studies that have done this very successfully have done so in largely European ancestry populations. And in this, I'm referring mostly to genome-wide association studies, which, as I mentioned, have been really successful in accomplishing this. However, in my lab, we take a little bit of a different approach. So we focus on kind of the other end of the spectrum of human phenotypes. Rather than looking at disease, we look beyond health to people who have enhanced physiology, which we call superhumans. We also look at a lot of the world outside of Europe and work with populations who are doing amazing things all over the world. In these populations, we identify and measure what we think are likely naturally selected phenotypes. So what we think is, driving potential adaptation in these populations. We collect and sequence DNA, and then we use natural selection as a filter to look at only variants in the genome that may be contributing to these phenotypes through evolution. We perform association analyses on just these variants. And sorry that some of this is kind of high level, but anyway, this reduces the burden of multiple testing and enables us to identify associations with as few as 100 individuals that otherwise would need to be identified with tens of thousands to millions of individuals. We've worked with a number of populations, or are working with a number of populations, including the Tarahumara, or as they call themselves, Raramuri runners in Mexico, the Kawaiskar divers in Patagonia, the Bajo divers in Indonesia, and the Henyo divers in Korea. That's kind of a really fast and furious description of my lab.
Okay, thank you. If you have questions for Melissa, we can take them in the Q&A as well. Our next faculty is Gianfranco, if you want to share your screen.
Yes. Do you see the screen? In full
Looks
screen?
good.
Okay. All right. I just joined the department here, and I've joined appointment with also the Scientific Computing and Imaging Institute. My area of research is in foundational AI, especially computer vision and machine learning. And what I do mostly is to look at the technical challenges that require new technical development that also allow to for applications in the healthcare and biomedical domain. AI, we hear a lot about AI these days, but it is still not robust enough for several type of applications, and this depends on several reasons. Some of them are illustrated here. So there are different factors of variations. The data might be heterogeneous, imbalanced. We need to handle multi different modality. The healthcare workflow is intrinsically a multimodal workflow. There's the need to explain the decisions taken by AI. All of these require technical development in order to be enabled and deployed in the healthcare domain. So this is the general area and the general type of things that I work on. And I'm going to give you some examples here. So for instance, this is an example of a neural network with a specific learning procedure that I developed in my lab, and we used it to model the manifold of face images. And once you do that, you can also have fun generating new face images and edit them the way in a way that is controlled. But then the same model can also be trained with other types of images. For instance, chest X-rays. And if you do that, then there's a way to we further design a model that uses these neural networks to take decisions about potential conditions of the patients, and that also is able to say whether it is able or it is not able to take a decision. And just to give you an example, this is used in ways that might look like this. So given a chest X-rays, the first thing you want to be able to say is whether you can actually decide what potential disease the patient might have, or you might abstain from taking a decision. Now we can do this kind of things. Or if you take a decision, you actually provide the level of confidence with which you can take that decision about potential diseases. So we do all these type of things. Another example that starts from foundational AI research and then it's used in biomedical application is this one, where we developed an object tracker for video, and this is the general architecture. But then when it works, it is able to track objects in video, in very difficult videos, as you can see. But then the same thing is then further developed and used to track, in this particular case, cells in volumetric images. Volumetric images are type of data that is used a lot by neuroscientists, computational biologists, and of course all the medical imaging space requires, makes use of volumetric images. And once you're able to, have automatic tools for volumetric images. You can do, besides visualizing the data, there are a lot of quantification type of tasks that need to be performed, like counting cells or segmenting hearts, all of these type of things. And also visualizing them, by the way, what you see here in this video is a tool that I developed in my lab to visualize 3D volumes in virtual reality, and also use these automated tools like tracking, for example, in 4D, 3D plus time. And I don't know how much time I have here, but just to very quickly, another area is the analysis of whole slide images in pathology, where obviously there are several technical challenges for predicting the correct diagnosis for this type of data. Other machine learning challenges are how do you make predictions while considering the interdependency and other particular problems of the conditions of patients. All of these type of technical challenges require some technical developments to be tailored to specific healthcare problems. And that's it. I hope this was fast enough. Thank you.
That was perfect. Yeah, so thank you. So that concludes, I guess, the presentation portion of our info session tonight. Hopefully you've gotten a really good sense for the scope of the research and the interesting problems that are being tackled by faculty and students in our department, as well as the really rich environment that you have coming to the University of Utah Department of Biomedical Informatics. We'll now open up for questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat or use the question and answer feature. I also want to acknowledge Sam and Grace, who are current PhD students, who can give a current PhD student perspective if any of you are interested in that. So, questions? Do you want me to read this one? I'll read this one here first of all. So Chow asks, are applicants encouraged to reach out to potential advisors to express their research interests and or discuss research fit before submitting an application? Karen, do you want to take that one? How do you feel about, oh, sorry. Let's see.
I think it's a good idea. If you can find a good match before you put the application in, I think it will be more favorably reviewed. Right.
I also think that if you have already developed some kind of contact or even potentially discussed potential projects with this potential advisor, it definitely helps the advisor envision this future partnership with you. The second question was also, when will the list of faculty members accepting PhD students for fall 2026 be finalized? I think we're still in the process of this. It's a somewhat complicated funding situation, and we're hoping to, within the next few weeks, hopefully we'll have a finalized list.
I can put the link in the chat where we will update the faculty on our website when that does happen. So you can find
the
it.
Last year's data apparently is still showing. I spoke to a student today. So you might want to clean that up.
You can take care of that.
Sounds good. Let's see. Other questions? Do you guys, we're happy to talk about what generally a successful application looks like. I think going back to the things that Amy was showing, I think that we're really interested in people who have shown a committed interest in biomedical informatics. And this probably includes a strong training either in statistics or computer science or some kind of informatics before that will really allow students to hit the ground running in an assigned project with a mentor. I think in an application, we like to see, I guess, evidence of this preparation, as well as enthusiasm for the subject area as well. I think that having an applicant who is excited about something and excited about the field and has shown determination and resilience in previous research is really exciting. So and a personal statement is a great place to have this come across, where you can talk about previous research experiences, perhaps even struggles that you encountered during previous research experiences and how you were able to overcome those. And especially if you can demonstrate that you have independence, either in both overcoming those challenges through your own creativity or coming up with innovative approaches, that's something that's really strong as well. Anything else I'm missing that would be really good to see in applications, Karen or Melissa?
We really like to see that you've engaged and been productive in research. I think that's the most important thing. So you've been an undergrad researcher, you've got your name on a paper, maybe you've presented a poster, that kind of thing.
Definitely.
I also think the letters matter more than you might think. So be sure to find someone who really knows you and has worked with you. And because that does come across in a letter. If it's just, you know, kind of generic, well, we can see that. So it's good to have someone who can really speak to what's going to make you do well in this program.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about the advising. So Kaz asks, can a PhD student be advised by a professor at Huntsman?
So you have to have the chair of your committee that you determine has to be a full-time faculty member in our department. But Karen and Kendall can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we have had partnerships in the past with other departments and you have to have an external member of your committee as well. So potentially,
I think Sam is probably the best person to talk about this, right? So Sam's a student on the call right now, and he came to the program from Florida when his PI moved here, but his PI went to the Huntsman. And so Sam actually kept his PI on the committee, but he chose a new person in the department. So they're still tied together, but the PI has a slightly different role. Sam, I think you can speak now.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Kendall had to unmute me. Sorry. Yeah, that's correct. So I mean, my previous PI up at HCI, AC Tan, still stay in touch regularly. Like Karen said, he's on my committee, and so I think if you have a connection that's in a different department that you still want to maintain, I think that's definitely something you can do. And yeah, like it's probably advantageous then to kind of have that person as your external member, because that kind of feel like when you're filling out your committee, that can probably sometimes be the tricky part is finding that external person if you don't already have that connection. So.
Thanks. Yeah. So I think the short answer is your primary advisor needs to be a primary faculty within the department, but you can definitely be co-advised or there's additional advising structures for people at other departments, including Huntsman.
The graduate school is also sort of leaning towards the idea of allowing joint mentorship, which they've not done before. So things might change. They're still kind of pondering it. I mean, another solution to this problem is I have a student that's technically in my lab, but he's doing work in a malaria lab in pathology. And that can happen. It's like the students that aren't in the department can sometimes like fall through the cracks. So it's not, I wouldn't advise going that way unless you have a really, really tight relationship between the two labs.
Can I also say a word about choosing a graduate program? So there's also other umbrella programs here at the University of Utah that will allow you to choose potentially a faculty member in the Department of Biomedical Informatics as your primary mentor, but you would be formally part of another umbrella program. And just be aware that the course requirements are going to be different between, for example, the molecular biology program versus the biomedical informatics program. And so as you're considering which program to apply to, consider what you would like to learn, what classes you're interested in taking. If you're interested in deepening your AI, machine learning, informatics, clinical informatics, if you'd like to take those kind of classes, those classes will be part of the requirements for the biomedical informatics graduate program. Whereas if you go to molecular biology, you'll be required to take classes in experimental-based coursework. And so,
Oh, there's a heavy cell biology component.
right.
And so Kendall, Melissa, and I think can take students from that program, right? I think it's just the three of us.
Right. So, yeah,
And I mean, I'll say in like 15 years, I've never taken one from that program.
but just be aware that there's different course requirements depending on which graduate program you started. So, great. Any,
There's more questions.
yep.
Somebody wanted to know how long it takes to get a PhD with us. It varies, right? So we get MD PhD students who are out in 3 years, which is, I think, is really fast, but that's a different thing. Our students, the sort of straightforward BMI, it can take 3.5 to about 5 normally. We've had cases where we've had students in the past that have had jobs, right? They've worked at like AIUP or the health department, and they've taken longer. I'm talking like a lot longer. Like we had one student that took nearly 10 years. So we really don't encourage that.
Amy, do you have the stat on that?
Huh?
Yeah, our data shows 4 to 5 years. It's like 4.5 years on average.
Great.
How
How many,
many?
oh, sorry,
Oh, you can read it.
Canada. How many PhD cohorts are there each year usually?
You mean how many students in the cohort?
Guessing, yeah.
The whole time I've been here, the smallest number has been 2 and the biggest number has been 12. Amy, do you have anything to
Yeah, I
contribute
mean,
to
this
that?
just varies on which faculty and how many are looking to take students. Last year we took 5, I believe it was. And year before it was about the same, but it really just varies. There's no like standard number we take every year.
Yeah.
And I don't know the average or anything. It just really depends.
So Ted says, I've been working in industry for 6 years, have little academic research experience. Is there still an opportunity? I would say yes. This department is it's like a little different. Like we have an industry advisory committee. We invite people every 2 weeks to come and give industry talks. So we're not like secluded. So when you put your application together, if you can talk about the projects that you've contributed to or talked about how, you know, if it's like confidential or whatever, you can still make a case. It just looks a little different because you're an industry person.
I do think that so you'll have to tailor your application to really show how you are ready for a research experience or a research PhD. So if you can show that you've been able to independently lead projects, if you ran into any problems and were able to creatively come up with a solution, or if you were able to perhaps branch out into a new direction in your company and think about additional ways to use additional resources, that would be good to highlight in your application.
Yeah. Like we had a student in his late 40s with, you know, a career with IBM under his belt, like gave that all up and came and did a PhD with us. And it worked out okay. Right? We don't say no to it. Just have to justify it. So we have some more questions. Kendall, you can read them.
Next is, I'm very passionate about AI-driven medication adherence and patient engagement. How does Utah's biomedical informatics program support students who want to test or pilot such innovations in real healthcare settings? Karen.
You want me to talk again?
I was just going to say this is a great place. So this is one of the reasons that initially I was also interested in this department, is because of this close collaboration we have with the clinical practice and clinical implementation as well.
I would say this question, like the person that most closely fits what you're interested in here is Ken Kawamoto. He has a lot of projects where he's integrated with the medical record and he pops up clinical decision support for the doctor at the time of care to look at like the prescribing like logistics for that patient. So that would be a place to start. And then we also have expertise now with Dr. Doretto, who could contribute to the AI-driven portion of that question. So it would be a great place to collaborate with multiple PIs and answer those questions.
Yeah, I mean, the past PhD theses have involved creating an app that will literally pop up in the EHR, right? And so and testing the efficacy of that. So definitely a great place to do that kind of research.
Yeah, like he has a current app, right, that a student built, like Christian, I think, that for the student in the clinic at that time, it will pop up an estimation of how much the drugs are going to cost for that particular patient for that condition with their insurance. So we're in the ballpark.
Right. And this would be a great opportunity, for example, to reach out to specific PIs and be like, hey, I'm really interested in this. Would this be something I could do in your lab? And if they can see this passion about you and see that it fits into their research portfolio, this would make a great justification for reaching out before application. I believe the next one is from Marshall. If I have a research focus that leans toward the neuroscience informatics side, EEG, MRI, FNRS, and related psychometrics, would this fall under your department, or would there be another?
I think that's a Dr. Doretto question.
I will, from my point of view, it's going to depend on how much neuroscience focus is, what are the expectations in that domain. But if there is an interest in taking a very strong computational approach with some collaborations from the neuroscience department, and that is something that could be done also in our department, I think.
Right. So any strong informatics computational approaches probably would be strong in this department as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. There was one question in the Q&A about what kind of mentorship structure does the department provide in the first year before students choose their dissertation topic? We should probably be clear this. So there's two types of admissions structures. One is a direct admit program, and that's the type of model we follow, where on day one, you will have an assigned mentor, and that person will mentor you throughout choosing classes, choosing a research topic, any other adjustment things that need to happen during the first year, as well as throughout the rest of your PhD. There's other programs that will do a rotation where you'll rotate through several potential research mentors and hopefully find one of those. We'll find you, and ours is the former, so ours is the direct admit. So from day one, you will have a mentor, a research mentor, who is intending to support you for the rest of your PhD. Is that clear? There's another question here about past dissertations. I don't know, would these be through the Marriott Library? You can do past dissertations.
Amy is nodding,
Yes.
like each dissertation is published.
Yes.
I can work with Amy to put together like a list if you want to contact her after this, and with the names of the students that have done public health projects, so that you can go look them up in the library. Or we can point you to them in the library. I've never actually done that. So
Yeah, they are there. Their search feature is not great, but definitely send me an email.
yeah, like I know their names. I can put together a list of a few things for you to look at.
Another question says, is the program preparing PhD students to make sure AI tools are both innovative and ethically grounded in patient trust? Gianfranco, do you want to talk about this?
So certainly it is an important focus to, from the point of view of developing tools based on AI, in developing them using trustworthy type of criteria. And connected to that, there is also a particular initiative here at the university called the Responsible AI, but that has some ties also to this type of approach. So that's something to consider as well.
And then I think this will also become more formalized, right? So you'll probably touch on elements of this in your ethics classes, as well as machine learning and AI classes as well. So this ethical use of it, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Alex asks, how does collaboration between the BMI program and the U of U hospital work? Do you have access to their data, or can students collaborate or research with the clinical staff?
This works in like a few different ways. So there, like once you've done your city training, you're allowed to look at people data. You can do it either with a direct collaboration with somebody in the hospital. So like I've done this before with people in pediatrics, or you can work with there's something called the EDW, the Electronic Data Warehouse, and they will, if you have a sensible question and time to wait for them to pull the data, they will make you a mini database that answers your question. Or if you work in one of the labs in the department that is connected, like is doing like research with the hospital, that just happens automatically. So it really depends on who you work with.
Sam or Grace or Melissa, do you want to talk about your experiences here? I know you guys have all collaborated across.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit like with HCI, because I've done some work with a group there. And I think it's pretty seamless once once Karen said you got like the proper trainings and the city trainings and such, as far as like getting onto like an IRB if you need to do that, and then working like with the bioinformatics core up there, because I kind of work with like sequencing data. So I think as long as you're following kind of like the protocol to get the protected information, it's pretty straightforward. So
There's also collaborations between hospitals across America that share
right.
de-identified data, and that's pretty accessible to anyone with a sensible question. So like Trinetics is one, Picari is another.
I'll add on that our lab has been working with a clinician at the Huntsman Center for a while now, and it's been pretty streamlined with getting data through them and requesting labs and where the funding's coming from for the projects. And the clinicians are interested in it, so it's nice to be to have access to those collaborators.
One more question about how does the program support students who want to move research from development to real world impact? For example, piloting digital health tools or AI models or clinical or community settings. And again, this is the perfect department for that. Past PhD students have really gone from developing a prototype to having it released on EHRs. It is part of the EHR that's being seen by patients and doctors as well. And like Karen mentioned, these machine learning platforms have been deployed across local hospitals as well as national hospitals as well.
And Vicky, I think, was on the call. I think she's dropped off, but she's actually one of the key people that's running our digital health initiative. So there are seed grants for piloting digital health tools.
One question about how can I find the list of professors who are working with clinical informatics and are willing to take PhD students coming this fall. Again, this will be this webpage that Amy is going to post. There you go. There you go.
The website's down right now. You can't see it, but it will be there. when we.
Sounds good. So bookmark that, and then you'll be able to see it there. And then if you click on the mentors, you'll be able to see their expertise as well. There's a question about the recording being shared after the meeting. The recording will be shared on the webpage as well after the meeting. Other questions, or Sam or Grace, what advice would you have, or what are your initial impressions, or tell us about the student experience?
I think the kind of in the recent years, things are really kind of changing. I feel like we're as far as like in the office, there's like it's kind of getting pretty lively. At least compared to my first year. I mean, the faculty does a lot to the department does a lot, I feel like, to kind of make the office like a welcoming place. So I know like they're doing stuff like with standing desks. I know I'm a big fan of that, so I'm going to talk about it. But also like kind of bringing in like a ping pong table and like kind of making like a lounge area that I think is on the horizon potentially. So I think they're doing a great job. It's a great place to be as far as like fostering kind of like a connection with your peers, I think. So yeah.
I agree. I think the faculty is also really incredibly supportive. Kind of no matter what you're working on or if you're struggling with something, there's always someone who is more of an expert in that area or has a connection at the university and they can direct you to somebody else to help you out. So yeah, the collaboration is really helpful.
Great, thanks, you guys. I pay him to say that. Just kidding. No. We have a question about how many students does the program hope to admit for the fall 2026. Again, we're still kind of working through this, but in the past we have admitted 5 to 8 students, I believe. And international students, I believe last year we had 1 international student, 1 of 5, and then the previous year
Yes, but in the past we've had cohorts of all international students. We've had majority. It just depends again. But our application is open to international students this year.
Great. Any last questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we will post this video online and you can watch it later. We're excited to read about your applications. And again, if you have any questions, Amy, would you mind dropping your email in the chat really quick? Feel free to reach out to Amy, who's our superstar graduate PhD department admin here. And so she can answer questions, any type of question. So feel free to email her, and she should be able to answer all of your questions. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming, and look forward to hearing and receiving your applications. Thank you.